First of all, to have a corporation where the customer is a priority is not as easy as it sounds, and it has to come from the top. So let's get that out of the way. If only people at the bottom are concerned, or it's just a priority for people who are actually dealing with the clients or the customers, that may not be effective. The importance of listening to your customer is really, really important. And that has got to start from the top. And you know what the phrase I like to use is, make sure you don't treat your customers like a widget. If your customers are a widget, and if that's the message that people on top send, I think it's easy for customers to often realize they're being treated as a number, that there's just one more sale, one more person. So let's get it out of the way. If the people on top have that attitude, I would say it will permeate the organization, because during meetings and opportunities to improve things, that will not be a priority. So we're going to talk about how not to do that, but let's understand that the people on top have to send the message that we are going to let our customers speak to us, give us feedback, and we're going to use that information to get better. As you know, most companies can't do everything, so a lot of times they outsource, whether it's SEO, marketing, certain products, whatever they need. And this is sort of the reverse of selling, which is how to be sold. So when you're sort of on the other side of the target, as it were, and you know, who's the prey in this case is potentially you, but in a good sense, because we all know that if you find a great vendor, service provider, outsource services, it can have a dramatic impact on your company. Often they can really take a company to the next level, especially if you partner up with the right person. So what I want to talk about today in this video, and what I'm going to teach you, is how to vet those people out. What should you look for? So by the end of this video, you should have a laundry list of things to look for, because a bad decision about picking a vendor can sometimes be fatal to a company, and certainly can be very painful. You can, spend a lot of extra time, wasted time, money, and resources that were deflected from other things that can hurt your company. So this is very, very important. One of the most common things that you see in any company is if someone is readily available, even maybe sometimes after work, when an opportunity comes or when something's really needed, they're the first persons you think of. Even think of it like on a personal level. Let's say you have a couple of extra tickets to a baseball game that you can't go to, and you want to go down the list of your friends that you might want to offer that to. I think even if you think about it like most people do, you may think of someone, but you're like, oh yeah, it'll take him 24 hours to get back to me. You immediately will go and probably offer those tickets to someone you want to give it to, but who you can probably get on the phone right away. Same thing as if you have a problem. Like, let's say you have a real problem. There's a big leak in your house, in your kitchen, and there's one plumber that answers his phone right away, and there's another one, you got to leave a message, blah, blah, blah. So often, business opportunities don't necessarily go to the most qualified person necessarily. Sometimes it goes to the most available person. And I've seen this throughout my whole career. Being available, of course, has its downside. You can't be available to everyone at all time. But if you make yourself unavailable to people who can impact your business, and often personal too, but what you will do is you will pay a price for it. The number one way to avoid objections we have found is, believe it or not to pause after you answer a question. And I'm going to explain why. Either at the beginning when the process is starting, or certainly when you're explaining your process, people are going to have questions, valid questions that you need to answer. But what we have found is when you answer those questions, people have a tendency to pause. So someone will say, how long is it going to take you for your company to get this deliverable to us? And often people say, it'll take us 4 weeks. But what did they do after they say 4 weeks? They pause. And the reason for that is that's how we do things in our normal life. Okay, so in our normal life, if your spouse calls you up and says, what do you want for dinner? You say lasagna, and then you pause. Or if someone asks you what time it is, you say what time it is. Or even if someone says to you, what's your address? Where do you work? In our normal lives, we pause, and it's totally acceptable to pause after you answer a question.